SIETAR UK is one of the 9 national SIETARs that are all part of SIETAR Europa, and our role or our aim is to act as a source for the exchange of ideas and information about intercultural topics for everyone interested in the intercultural field, whether they're practitioners, as trainers, coaches, facilitators, or researchers, academics, educators, and students. So we'll be doing a series of sessions through till the end of the year, generally one a month, as we have done through the year up until the end of July. And I'm going to hand over to Chris, who's going to do a quick poll, and then I'll come back and introduce Alison and the topic, and then we'll get going.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Yeah, so as Adrian mentioned, just so we understand who our marketing is reaching, it would be great if you could answer this very quick poll. Give us a bit of your affiliation, your membership status around SIETAR. Maybe you're a SIETAR veteran, maybe you're a lapsed SIETAR person, or maybe you're someone who has never even heard of SIETAR. So if you could just complete this, that would be really useful. Okay, so coming in, most people have answered. Just a couple more, I think. Okay, thank you. So we can see that we have a fairly good mix of majority SIETAR UK members, some of our colleagues from around the world, former SIETAR members, and a few people, 5 people coming to us from outside the SIETAR fold. So welcome.
Okay, so I'll now move on and introduce Alison Haill, who you can see top left on the screen. I've actually known Alison for many years. We did a postgraduate course together at the Institute of Education in London quite some years ago now, and have kept in touch. And Alison has lived and worked in quite a few countries. Before I met her, it was Brazil, possibly others. And then after we met, I know she went to Slovenia, and then later on to Egypt, and then did a stint in Singapore, then came back to the UK with her husband and children. And about 20 years ago, she decided to set up her own company, which is called Oxford Professional Consulting. And she's been running that successfully throughout is it called the noughties? She's going to share some of her secrets, her tips for working as a small, probably quite a small professional operator, but working with clients who very often you might think that they would try to use their size to squeeze you on price. And Alison is going to tell us all how to get around that or prevent it. So over to you, Alison.
Thank you, Adrian. And yes, Adrian's one of my oldest professional friends, of the most long-standing, I should say, not the oldest. Very nice to see you all this evening, your names, if not your pictures. And I'd like to start by asking a couple of questions. Now, I know that I won't be able to get your answers, but at least I can ask you the questions and I can tell you what most people answer. So if we were in a live situation, then I would be able to get your answers immediately. So how many of you know that you undercharge for the value that you give to your clients? That would be my first question. And my second question is how many of you would like to charge what you're worth and get it? Now, normally when I ask those questions, I get almost everybody saying that they know that they undercharge. They know that they give more value than they actually charge for. And they all say yes to the second one. So that's partly why I've chosen to speak to you on pricing, because I think most of us do undercharge, but particularly when we're independents. And I think it does us no good at all. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to tell you how I've found a workaround for that, and how I am now able to charge what I feel I am worth, and also get it. And also help enable and equip other independents and small business owners to do the same thing. So, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alison Haill. I'm CEO of Oxford Professional Consulting, which is a small company, a limited company, which I started 22 years ago. And I work with senior leaders in corporates and also business owners who run expertise-based businesses, which I think is what you all do, either as coaches or consultants or trainers, or a mix of all of those. When I started, I was working in the business English field. When I started my first business, and also when I started my career. And then when I started my own business, when I founded my own business, I was initially working as a business English trainer and one-to-one trainer. And then I moved into presentation skills training, and then I moved into cross-cultural skills training. So probably there's a lot of you on the call today and listening to the recording who have followed that same trajectory. And now I work as an executive business coach, and either working like that, one-to-one with clients, with executive clients or business owner clients, or teaching managers and leaders how to coach. So that's what I do now. And I want to share with you what I do around pricing. Of course, I won't be able to share everything today in this short period, but I want to share some of the thinking, some of the insights, some of the ideas, and some of the tips that I hope will help you to get a better grip on your pricing so that you can charge what you're worth and get it too. So I've divided my presentation into 3 parts in the conventional way, and I'm not using PowerPoint today, so I should be looking at my notes so that I'm sure to include everything I want to include. So part 1 is why I'm focusing on pricing. And the reasons are this. 1, I believe most independents undercharge, and 2, when I ask those questions that I asked you at the beginning, I mostly get yeses for them. And I think the reason for this undercharging is fear. Fear of rejection by the potential client, fear of lack of clients, and fear of not making enough money. And so the business isn't worth running, although we love to do it. So this is a problem. And one of the things is, well, let's look at first of all at undercharging. Undercharging means you probably don't make enough money. And when I say enough money, maybe you don't make a decent living from your business, or at least some months. This can lead to anxiety. So that's also a bad thing. And it can mean that you don't have enough money to invest in your learning, your continuous professional development, your CPD. And I think all those 3 things are very bad news. Now that's undercharging. The other thing that we tend to do is to give discounts. If the client sounds as if they don't like your price, you might offer a discount. Or because of COVID, when you think that maybe you're not going to get as many sales as usual, you offer a discount. Or for any other reason, maybe you're not feeling very confident that day and you think, well, this isn't likely to work, they're not likely to buy, you offer a discount. So too many discounts are being offered, and when you're discounting, you're not sounding like a quality provider, are you? You're sounding like a discount store. So that's not good news either. The other reason why this tends to be a problem is because a lot of independents choose their prices according to what other people charge. And since, if you ask me, most independents are undercharging, if you're copying what they're doing, you're going to undercharge as well. And some consultants even have the erroneous view that if they undercut other people, they will get more clients. Well, it's not true. If you undercut other people who are already undercharging, you're having even less possibility of making a living for yourself. And you're likely to show yourself, again, as not being a quality provider, but being a bit of a cheap and cheerful quality. Other things that go wrong is that you go by what the market charges. Now, the market is often charging what the client says they will pay. And I think that we actually have to stand up for our expertise rather than just reacting to what the market says. I don't think it's useful for us to charge by the hour, and that's what a lot of people still do, or even by the day. Because what we're doing then is we're encouraging our clients, particularly the corporate clients, to do what they're doing now, which is seeing time as being value. And we all know that the value and the results is not, it's not in direct proportion to the amount of time you spent with somebody. It's in direct proportion to your skill, their commitment, the action that they take, and all kinds of other things as well. So it's not useful to us to encourage or perpetuate this idea that value is equal to hours spent or days spent. I want to encourage my clients to think about results and pay me according to results, not pay me according to the number of days I use or the number of minutes. The third reason that undercharging is bad is because it erodes our own belief in our value. If we give a discount on our prices, or we undercharge because we think people at the moment won't pay a better price, we're undervaluing ourselves. We're undermining our confidence in our service and what its value is, and that's not helpful to us, and it's also not helpful to the client. Now, I think these things can especially apply to women, because most of us are brought up to be not pushy, to be nice, to be modest, to be pleasing, to be caring, certainly not to be greedy. So if we get the feeling that we might be seen as greedy, we're going to give a discount, or we're going to mention a lower price than we might have done otherwise. So there are all these parts of this problem about undercharging. So that's how I see the current situation. So, so I'm going to go on to my second part now, which is what to do about it. And I've got parts 2 and parts 3 of my little talk today are about solutions. So part 2 now this is solutions level 1. So obviously, if undercharging is the problem, then the solution is going to be to charge what you're worth. So let's look at that. Number 1, you've got to be good at what you do. Because if you're not giving a good service, how can you expect to charge a premium price? So you can start thinking about this by thinking, why do clients like you? What is it that they value about you? Another thing you can do is to check your results. What results do your clients get from working with you? What actually happens in the business? That happens because they've worked with you. Not just that they feel more confident, but are they actually more convincing? Do they get people signing up? Do they get sales more quickly? Do negotiations go more speedily and more effectively? So what kind of results do they get from working with you? and then you want to really think, do clients want exactly what you're offering them, or do they just take you because there's nothing better on offer anywhere? It might be that you have to think about what would be a really good solution, what would be a better solution, rather than just offering what the market expects you to offer. So what I've discovered in 22 years of working with clients, and I came into it as a person who'd never run a business before, that clients don't just want benefits, they actually want results. And I think the results they want are time saved, money brought in, they want trust built, and trust built quicker and maintained. They want to gain buy-in, that's another result that clients value, and they want client retention and also staff retention, employee retention. So a question to ask yourself is, do you give them results or do you give them benefits? And I've started talking about results in my proposals rather than just benefits. A long time ago we were told, weren't we, that we shouldn't talk about features, we should talk about benefits. And now I have moved on to thinking, actually, as well as benefits, I want to talk about results, because I think that's what means more to my clients. Now, I've been rattling on so fast that I've actually got ahead of myself, and I'm going too fast. So let me go back over what we've done so far. So we've talked about the market. We've talked about why pricing is really important, because if we don't make money in our businesses, then we can't be sustainable. We can't carry on just working for ourselves. We'll end up having to work for somebody else, go into employment again. We've talked about why charging what other people charge is not a good idea, because a lot of trainers and coaches and independents are undercharging. So you don't want to always charge what other people are charging. You certainly don't want to undercharge in the hope to get clients, because that way you will you'll be charging even less than those who are undercharging. If you're not charging enough, you're going to have a very anxious time. So you probably won't sleep very well, and you'll be constantly worrying about whether your business is going to be sustainable, whether you can pay your bills, or whether if you're if you're married or in a partnership, you've got a partner, you'll be worrying, are you actually paying your way? And the other thing about charging too little is that you need more clients. And if you need more clients, then you end up rushing around, finding new clients, going to sales meetings, writing proposals, getting them rejected. They're having to write other proposals, which take a long time, as you know. And also, because you'll be rushing, you won't really you'll be skimping on the time that you could be spending with your clients that you've got. So my view is that we should be charging what we're worth, charging premium pricing, giving an extremely good service so that we can have fewer clients, and that way spend enough time to give those people a really good service and get them the results that they're really going to value. So that's the thinking behind what I'm talking about. So I had already got onto solutions because I was racing on rather. And in the solutions level 1, I talked to you about the fact that you've got to be really good at what you do, because if you're charging a premium price and more than other people, you've got to really make sure that you're giving good value. I'm certainly not endorsing the idea that you rip people off by giving a mediocre service and charging a lot of money. That's not my idea at all. I want to be endorsing giving a fantastic service and getting paid premium fees because of your very good results. So the first thing is you need to be really good at what you're doing. And one way to find that out is to ask yourself, if I doubled my price, what would that say about me? So if you double your price, what would that say about you? And if you think, oh my God, I couldn't charge that, that would be too much, you could start thinking, well, what would you have to be like to have that extra large fee? What's missing? If you did charge that, what would need to change for you to feel comfortable charging that? And when you ask yourself that question, you will often find that's where the gaps are. Maybe you're going to say, well, I'd need to have something a bit different from everybody else. I'd need to have a VIP service that I could offer. I'd need to be able to offer, I'd need to add in one-to-one coaching, or I would need to be more skillful at my customer service. So by asking yourself that question, you actually see where your gaps are to improve. And other ways to find out what you need to do to give an even better service is to think about what feedback you've got from clients. Of course, we like to focus on the feedback that tells us we're wonderful, but it's the feedback that doesn't tell us we're wonderful, which is actually probably more useful. And you can go to trusted clients of yours or trusted colleagues of yours and ask them to tell you honestly what they think, where they think the gaps are in your service and how you could be even better than you are, because you're looking to raise your game. And that way you'll also see how you could be giving that extra good service. And it may be something that doesn't actually take you that much extra trouble, but it would allow you to feel fully confident that you deserve that higher level price that you want. Okay, so that's the first thing about solutions level 1. Be really good at what you do and be able to talk about the results that people get from your service rather than just the benefits. Number 2 in this solutions level 1 is change how you charge. One question to ask yourself is, what do you need? What do you need to earn? And how many hours can you work? Including in those the holidays, the CPD, the continuous professional development, the conferences that you like to go to or you know you should go to in order to show your worth and to learn from other people, and in order to have time for fun. You don't want to be working the whole time. And remember to work into that some sick days. You're likely not to be feeling on top form the whole way through the year. So you take out those days and see what's left, and then how much you need to earn in order to get what you need, what you want for the whole year. I no longer charge by the hour or by the day. I charge by the package. Now, you might say, well, I already charge by the package. I wonder if you charge by the package worked out on the number of days that are included in the package, because that's what most people do with their packages. It's very easy for the client then to divide the package by the number of hours or the number of days, and they get your hourly rate. Well, that's not helpful, because when people look at your hourly rate or your daily rate, it can be a comparison that's not useful to you and not useful to them. Far better is to find a way to manage your packages so they aren't easily divisible by the day or by the hour. So you need to add some things into your package that are not time bound. Now, the second thing that I've changed on how I charge is that I have a sales approach which involves the client's emotions. Now, my view is that we like to think that we make decisions based on logic. And I think a lot of people think that that's how we do it. But actually, neuroscience has shown us that we make our decisions far more based on emotion, that emotion trumps logic when it comes down to it. So when you do your sales conversations, you actually want to be involving the client's emotions there. What are the costs of not doing it? And what will the benefits and results be of doing it? And it's getting in touch with the client's emotions there that's going to make a difference. But and of course, you can't do that until you've built up trust with the client. So the ability to build trust by listening to the client talking about their situation and involving the emotions is how the sales approach works better. And of course, I show the people that I work with, the business owners I work with, how to do that. And the third thing to change is you've got to be resilient, you've got to be confident, you've got to have real self-belief and conviction when you talk about the results that you can help your clients to get, because that is going to make the difference about whether they want to work with you or not. So because time is short today, I'm obviously not going to be able to tell you, give you all the tips I'd like to give you. So I've compiled a list, which I've called 10 top or top 10, I can't remember which way, 10 top pricing tips. And if you write to me, Chris will give you the address. It's alison@alisonhaill.com. If you write to me, I'll send you the tips list and you can get them there. And then I'll also add you to my mailing list where I give tips for business owners and entrepreneurs running expertise-based businesses. I give those tips in newsletters twice a month. So let's go on to my final section, which is solutions level 2. And there are 3 sections here as well. The first one is, given that we're undercharging, the first thing is to raise your prices. Now, clients don't mind my high prices because they trust me. So the first thing is to build a relationship with the client so that they do trust you. And I found that the deep listening skill that I've learned through my coaching is really helpful in that. The other thing that helps clients to trust me is knowing what results other clients have got. So your testimonials are very important. They should be on your website. They could be on your proposals. They can be on your social media. And you also need to read those testimonials often so that you can actually remember those very positive results that you get for your clients so that you keep your confidence up. And that's the third thing that I would mention is your conviction and your confidence that you actually can help them get over whatever gap there is between the performance they have and the performance that your service is going to get them to. So, and how do you build that trust, that confidence and that conviction? There's a lot of work to be done there, and some of it is in building your own confidence, in looking at the results that you get, reading the testimonials that you get from your clients who've worked with you, writing down on a sheet of paper all the skills that you have, all the trainings you've done, all the strengths you've got, as well as the results that you get your clients, so that you are really constantly reminded of your own value. Because one of the things I found and have found over the last 22 years is that my confidence and self-belief will dip. Some days it's really high, and then if I haven't had any clients for 2 weeks or 2 months or it's never been 2 years, but 2 weeks or 2 months, then my confidence can really go down. It's not that I doubt my skills, but somehow there's a feeling that if they've not come to me, if I've not got clients, then maybe something's wrong. And it's through work on my mindset and my confidence that I've stopped those feelings, and I'm able to have a strong sense of confidence and conviction, which I can put over to the client, and that helps them to easily decide that they want to work with me because of that conviction. And that's something that you can work on yourselves. Yes, build up your confidence by writing down the results that you get, the training you've got, the skills you've got, the strengths you've got, and what your clients really like about you, which is something that I mentioned early on. What they say about you, what they've said, and what you feel that they really appreciate. When I was a business English teacher, I knew that my clients, I had groups of clients, about 6 in a group. 6 or 8 in the group, and I know what they really appreciated from me was that I would tell them honestly about their weaknesses and their strengths. And almost no other teachers in that school did that. They wrapped it up in something a bit more indirect, and these business people that I was teaching really appreciated that. So that was something that they really valued. And I think it's still true that my clients really value my honest feedback, because some people don't give honest feedback so regularly or so honestly. So what is it that your clients appreciate about you? Okay, so raise your prices is one of the things in this level 2 solutions. The second thing is resilience. I promised I would talk a bit about resilience, because at the moment with the COVID crisis, we're all affected by what's going on around us. The fear of recession, the possibility of perhaps being less work around, perhaps clients not wanting to spend money on training. There's all kinds of uncertainty in the environment, and of course we're affected by that. It might be actually by falling sales in our own businesses, but it might be just by the very uncertainty in the air. So I think one thing is to accept and adapt when you need to, and be kind to yourself. We shouldn't expect ourselves to be strong all the time. So accept and adapt. You might have a day when you don't feel like working very hard, or when you don't feel like making those sales calls. So decide to do it the next day. The second thing I would say is get a coach if you haven't got one now. That's one of the things that I do myself. I am a coach, but I always have a coach, because I know that I'm more effective, I work harder, I'm more consistent when I'm paying quite large amounts for a really good coach. It makes me raise my game when I pay more. So don't always go for the cheapest. Go for something which is going to make you raise your game to equal what you've invested. The next thing is, I would say about resilience, habits and rituals. Stop doing things that make you feel unsettled. I stopped watching the news at 10 o'clock at night before I went to bed when the COVID crisis hit, because I just found the news was not a good thing to listen to last thing at night. My own ritual is to avoid the news at night. When I get to bed, I write down all the things I've achieved during the day. I have a notebook by my bed, and I also write down 3 things to be grateful for. And that little ritual about the 3 things to be grateful for helps me to go to bed in an optimistic mood. Now, it might be the blue sky, because we haven't had any for the last few days. It might be the birds singing. It might be a note from my granddaughter. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be something big, but just find 3 things to be grateful for. It's a very good habit. So those are the things that I would say, and do spend time to nourish your resilience. It means proper sleep, proper food, proper drink, not too much alcohol, and looking after your confidence and your self-belief, as I've said. And the third and final thing I want to mention in this level 2 of solutions is my watch seems to have stopped entirely. Can I just check what the time is? Is it 6:37 or is it 6:30?
It's 6:37. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Okay. So the final thing in my solutions level 2 is mindset change. You really need to work at making sure that you have beliefs in your mind that actually serve you well. So to go from fear beliefs into self-belief, you want to have a positive mindset about your money, about your value, about the results your clients get, and about your prices. And here's a good mindset that I use myself, and you can write it down and use it yourselves if you like. It's my premium prices are reassuring to my clients. Premium prices are reassuring to my clients. And another one that I could give you, if I can remember the wording of it, is premium prices make my clients step up to be their best. So I've got lots of these, and I think they really have made a difference to me, and I hope they will make a difference to you. So in summary, just coming to the wrap up now before we go into Q&A, I've talked about why pricing is a problem and why we really need to get a grip on it. I've talked about how important it is to be really good at what you're doing and give a really good value to your clients, how important it is to stop discounts and stop charging by the day or the hour. I've talked about raising prices, nourishing your resilience, and changing your mindset. And if you put all those into practice, I'm quite sure that you will be able to raise your game and raise your price as I have been able to. Now that's all that I have prepared for you, but I am ready to answer your questions, and I even have some questions already here if we have a gap. So who would like to ask me something?
We do have some questions from the chat, which I can dive in with to give people a bit of time to compose their own thoughts.
Yes,
so we had a couple of questions around the time where you were talking about upping your like thinking of your upping your prices and imagining what it would do to take you up to that level to be able to charge that prices. Tanya asked, could you give an example of very good service? So you talked about, do I have to improve my customer service? And Adrian asked, if a potential client asks you why you're so much more expensive, what do you give them as your value add? Why you should.
I'll have to think, for Adrian's one, I'll have to think back to what I do say. So Tanya, I don't think it's so much about what is good service, as if there's good service that everybody wants and is all the same. I find if I was to ask myself what would, if I doubled my charges now, so I'm thinking of the last person that I sold a coaching program to, which was last week, and if I doubled my price, that would be quite a large amount of money. Okay, so what would that say about me? That's the first question that I told you to ask yourself. So what would that say about me? It would say that I was much better than the average coach. way better than the average coach, and that I had a lot of people waiting to pay for my services. And if I was to think about customer service, I think I would need to be much more on the ball about having things sent a bit more promptly than they are to my clients. I think I'd need to pass more on to my assistant and do less myself. And in that case, they would get, they would get a prompter service. And I think maybe I would, that's certainly the first thing. So I think it's asking yourself, Tanya, what you think about your customer service. And if you were charging twice as much, would your customer service have to be much better? If somebody asked for a refund, would you have to do it in 24 hours rather than whatever you do now? Actually, that's one thing. I think we would get our invoices out quicker if I wanted to up our customer service. So Adrian, your question, if they said, why are you so much more expensive? I don't think I've been asked that question recently. Perhaps I should double my prices. I think what they tend to say now is, I know I could find somebody cheaper if I was prepared to spend a lot of time looking, but I'll go with yours. So I haven't been asked that for some time, but I think what I would say is that I know I can help you get the results that you want, and this is the price that my clients pay.
Okay, thank you. We've got some others. Question from Bill, which tends to be a few compounded questions about the money, basically. How do you know what the market rate is? Can you give us a figure? I think Bill was talking in general to begin with, so how does one know what the market rate is? And can you give us a number from your own experience?
Well, I can tell you that I used to charge £2,000 for 6 hours of coaching. And I think somebody once told me that that was the price they were charging. So I just decided I would charge the same. And I now don't charge in that way any longer. I give 6-month programs, and my coaching sessions are half an hour, not 1 hour. So I've broken with that tradition. And I give intensive day as well in the package. And the last contract that that somebody bought from me was £14,000 for 4 months. So all I can tell you is it's a lot more than I was getting, and the packages are different as well. But if I was to add up the number of hours, I think it's probably about 3 times as expensive as it was for the client. But I think they're getting probably 3 times as much value, because by charging more, I've also pulled myself up, because I'm an ethical person. I don't want to be charging more than the value I'm giving. So when I charge a higher price than the time before, then I have to bring myself up to be even better than I was before. So it's actually an interesting way of raising your own game, I find.
Okay, thank you.
Answered Bill's question in some respect, anyway.
I'm sure he'll type a response if he needs follow up. We have a question from Reka. and I'll read it out in full. I live in a culture where you give quality service if you belong to an organization. It means that training centers, language schools, etc. define the prices. Any suggestions on how to negotiate better retributions? I assume that's negotiate a better rate.
Does she mean that the school she works for decides how much to pay her?
Reka, maybe you can unmute or clarify in the chat.
Or does she mean that?
It's me, I'm just showing my face, yes, and this is what I meant exactly.
Okay, well, I think that's a very difficult situation. I think if you're in a school, they do tend to decide how much they will pay you, and I don't know. I would hope that you could negotiate with your school and say that, and be able to show that you are offering a different package, and they would charge it out as more. They would therefore get more for their slice, and you could get more as well. But I do know that one of my teachers, who I pay twice what, because I do a tiny little bit of business English in a kind of corner of our company, and I have a couple of teachers who work for me on a freelance basis when we get a client who says they want some business English, because I no longer do that myself. And I know that one of those teachers, I pay her twice as much as she gets from the other agency that she works for. And when she tried to negotiate a higher fee from the other agency, the agency said yes, but then they hired the cheaper teachers instead of her. So I think it does depend very much on whether you can find an employer who is like me, or who is like that owner of that other agency that my teacher used. I don't think that's very helpful, Rika, but it's sincere at least.
It was very, sorry, it is very encouraging, so thank you.
Good.
We have a very interesting question actually from Rosemary, who says, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Do you have any tips on setting up the sales call? Is it all about networking, or do you cold call?
Oh, well, that's interesting. I do various things now. When I first started, I may tell you that in the 22 years that I've been working, I've made probably every single mistake possible. And I did a lot of networking at the beginning. I'm not sure how much it helped me, to be honest, but it did give me a lot of, when I was a business English teacher, it was helpful because it always gave me contacts who I could use for business meetings or business talks or something. But I'm not sure it ever brought me any work. It did once bring me some work. I don't call total strangers, but I do call old clients. And that is, I would really recommend doing that. Make a list of your favorite clients from the past, and another list of your perhaps less favorite clients, because they might have changed. And you could make another list of people who you talked to but didn't buy anything from you. And then you ring them up and find out how they are. Say you're doing some research on what businesses are looking for these days during these difficult times. And if you're prepared to just listen, you'll get some very useful information. And if somebody says something which makes you realize that you could be really helpful to them, you can suggest having another chat to talk about the possibility of helping them. And I did that a couple of months ago with a client of mine from about 15 years ago, and she signed up for something. Now, I hadn't spoken to her for 15 years. And that was something like a 10-minute conversation. We set up a new call to talk about how I might help her, and Bob's your uncle. So it's worth doing that.
Great, and I think we have one more question in the chat box from Ramiro. how do you sell your coaching package? Is it a cross-cultural training coaching?
No, it's no longer a cross-cultural training program. I do one which I call empowered leadership. That's what I sell to for the last thing was last week, and for the independents or small businesses and entrepreneurs who I work with, the package there is called Charge What You're Worth and Get It. And that's a 6-month package. It's a group coaching, and we meet twice a month as a group and on Zoom, and we meet, I also give them one-to-one training, and we also, I give a lot of content as well. So how to build your business, how to do your pricing, how to manage a sales call, and what to say on your sales call, etc. So the two different kind of packages. The one is for the leadership for the corporates, and the other one is for the expertise-based entrepreneurs.
And that leads us nicely into Gillian's question that has just come in, saying that a lot of this is dealing with existing businesses. What advice would you give to a startup, someone freshly in the field?
Well, interesting. I think for starting up, I would say look at the people you know already. You may have some clients who a lot of people start up and their first clients are from their old employer. Their old employer employs them as an independent, and that works very nicely for some people. It can give them a stream of clients at the beginning. Then I would look for people who are similar, or companies who are similar. You might want to look at agencies who find clients for you. So you would become a coach or a cross-cultural trainer for another company. For instance, Adrian's got a company and he used to have a lot of staff. You might want to contact him and say, does he need somebody with your particular expertise? So those are two ways that you can start. And I think that's what I would suggest.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that's all the questions we have on the chat. Alison, you said you had some there?
I've got 3 actually that were sent in to me. I've got results versus benefits. Somebody asked what I talk about results rather than benefits. What's the difference? Well, I think I did in fact write down somewhere. I wrote the answer to this question, but I rather stupidly mislaid it. Okay, so if it was something like presentation skills, for instance, you could talk about the benefits being more confidence, more clarity, better structured presentation, showing more leadership, speaking louder, being able to handle the room. You could talk about those things. Those are all kind of skills, as it were, but it's not going to give the business anything, is it? So we need to think about what the results the business would get. So if we were able to say, if you were more confident and clearer and better structured, that you would persuade people, you would be more, you would influence people more easily. You would perhaps, the result might be that you improve the reputation of the employer, because you're slick and you're good in those respects. What else might you get? You might have, if you had those better skills, would you be able to negotiate better? And that's one of the things. I was talking to a business English teacher, trainer not long ago, and she was talking about the kind of things that as a language trainer we used to care about. But actually, that isn't what the business cares about. The business cares about, can you negotiate and get the deal more quickly than you could when your English was less good? Can you save time? Can you actually bring in more sales? So they're looking at the results that come after you've got your skills up. And I think that's the difference that I would make. I always force myself when I'm writing a proposal that I don't put the features until the very end. I start with the benefits and in fact, I start with the benefits and then I work to the results. I ask myself, what's the result of that benefit? What's the result that the business will care about? Because the business has got to pay the money. So the business has got to see that they're getting some results. Do you have anything else? Oh.
No, I think there's maybe just time for one last short one, perhaps.
I've got how to maintain belief during a recession or a downturn. I think that's really quite important. And if you follow what I suggested about mindset and confidence, those are the things you have to work on. But what I find that my people in my small business coaching groups, what they find useful is that we're doing something every 2 weeks together, and we're talking about, we get accountability, they take action, they know that they're doing something to bring about getting new sales. And I think it's find somebody that you can work with. It doesn't have to be me, it doesn't even have to be a coach, it could be a buddy. The thing about paying somebody is they tend to be a bit stricter with you, and they tend to, and they're not trying to make you like them. Whereas if you do it with a friend, you've always got to be careful about the friendship, haven't you? So you can't be really tough with your friend. Whereas if somebody's paying you to help them improve their business results, you can be tough when necessary. So, that's what I would say, and I do hope that's been useful to you all. It's been a pleasure for me, and particularly if it has been useful, then I'm very glad that I could help.
Thank you very much, Alison. I'm just posting your email address in the chat again to anyone that would like to get in touch with you for that PDF of top tips. And just to let you all know, this session has been recorded, so we'll email you a link to the video once we've sorted that. Adrian, would you like to say any closing words?
Yes, well, thank you. I typed them actually, just in case I didn't have the chance. But thank you very much, Alison, for a very interesting and stimulating session, especially in these difficult times for a lot of people. And thanks, Chris, for moderating so efficiently. And I hope to see lots of people who were here tonight at future SIETAR UK events, which will be online for the moment. And we'll keep you updated. Look at our website, SIETAR.co.uk, for the latest information. And we'll mail you. If you found out about this, you presumably got mailed. So we'll keep you up to date. So thanks again, Alison, and thanks to everyone still here who came and participated and made it a very interesting evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good night.